Charlie, and it's been a little over a year now since I updated my, or since I put out my top 10 fantasy books video, and I was thinking it through, and I think my list has actually changed quite a bit. There's definitely a good amount of these books that remain on the list from when I last put out one of these videos, but I think at least half of them have changed. Like, new ones have come on, some old ones have gone off, and I've also shifted up the order, which was interesting to me. Like, my opinion on some books has gone up or down over time, which I just think is interesting. So I want to talk about all that. This whole stack here is my top 10 list. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Before we really get going, I do need to mention my honorable mention, which is a book that I had at the #1 spot last year, and I'm gonna take it off of my list today. It's a bold move, maybe, but it just feels right. This is Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn, or really The Final Empire. I had listed that as my #1 book last year, and I think I love that book. I do. Okay, I think there's a lot of people kind of crapping on Brandon Sanderson recently for some reason, but he's still one of the biggest names out there, one of the biggest fantasy authors, and he is absolutely one of my favorite fantasy authors. But I think this book in particular was on this list because it was my gateway into adult fantasy reading a few years back, and I am eternally grateful for that. I do, again, love this book. I love the magic system. I love the characters. I love the storyline. I think it's really interesting. I think it's really well done. I do absolutely love it, but I'm taking it off the list because I think primarily because I've talked about this book a million times. A lot of people have talked about this book a million times, and beyond that, this is like the real reason. I think though I owe kind of all of my fantasy reading to this book, I'm not confident that it would be on this list, or at least at my #1 spot, if I read it now for the first time, if that makes sense. It's not that I think it's a bad book, obviously, I've already covered that, but I just think these 10 right now in my brain, and it could just be, I don't know, partially recency bias with some of these books, but it just doesn't feel right for it to be on this list, if I'm being completely honest, outside of this kind of nostalgia feeling. So I'm taking it off. I still love this book. I still love Brandon Sanderson. Don't get that confused. And if you ask me again in a week, what's my top 10 books? This book could very well be back on the list. And that's something that I also want to call out with this list. This is not like the list. This is not my firm top 10. This is 10 of my favorite books. And right now, in this moment, this is them. This is my top 10. This is the order that I'm putting them in too. But again, day to day, hour to hour, this could change, and it will change. And next year, when I make another one of these videos, it'll probably look pretty different. We'll see. That's why I'm doing an updated one, because it changes so frequently. And actually, last thing before we get going, because I did just mention that the order of this list, and that even that could change. This is not a top 10 in terms of like 1 through 10 in order, but I do have some sort of order, some sort of structure to it that makes sense for my brain. A friend of mine said that this is how he likes to think of his top 10 books, and that stuck with me ever since. This is how I structured my last video of my top 10 a year ago, and this is how I'm going to do it again this year. It's more of a pyramid than a top 10 list, like a numbered list. So the first 4 books that I'm going to mention, I think of kind of in the same tier, and they're interchangeable. Same with the next tier. There's 3 books that are kind of on the same level. Then there's 2, and then there's my one that I really think is the one. This is my favorite book right now. So yeah, we're gonna just dive in from here. Starting off on this base layer of the pyramid, I'm gonna bring up Saga. Right away, I'm kind of cheating because I don't necessarily mean this book, like this one issue or volume of this comic book, graphic novel series. I kind of mean the whole series as a whole. The rest of these are novels, so if you're not a graphic novel person, skip ahead to the next book or just hang tight, because I really think that you should hear about this book. I think that you should check this out, even if you are those people. If you're not into graphic novels, I think you'd like this. If you like fantasy and sci-fi worlds and characters and stories, I think this is for you. And I am including it here, even though it is largely sci-fi. There's some fantasy elements, and it's my list, and they're my rules, so this belongs. This is essentially a Romeo and Juliet type story, but in space with aliens and stuff like that. It really covers a lot of ground. There's a lot of talk about racial issues and like status issues. They also talk a lot about sexuality type of issues, and really they cover a lot of things, a lot of topics, a lot of interesting insight into these topics as well. Brian K. Vaughan does a great job of making all of these characters so human, despite the fact that some of them have televisions for heads and things like that. Like, they are clearly not human beings, but they feel human, and their issues are very real, and they are very much issues that we deal with day to day on this planet. So I thought that was really cool. It's kind of going between a war between a planet and one of its moons, and the people on the cover here fall in love and run away together, even though they are from, one of them's from the moon, one of them's from the planet, and there's a big hunt for them, essentially. Very strong characters, very strong writing. I love Brian K. Vaughan. I've read a number of his series, and all of them are just so good. Like, Why the Last Man is a fantastic one. Again, I'm talking about this one. I love this one. He's just really good. And Fiona Staples does the art for this series and just knocks it out of the park. Every page, I feel like there's something on it that I could hang up on my wall. It's just really good. Maybe not that extreme, but it's really good art. I'm really into the style. That's enough about that one. Really, really good. That gets the first mention. After this, and this might surprise people that it's so low, but again, these are my top 10 books. I've read a lot of books, so this is still very high praise. Dungeon Crawler Carl. This is a novel that you have heard about if this is not your first time on the internet. It's really good, and I, again, I'm kind of cheating because I'm not necessarily talking about book one when I say that Dungeon Crawler Carl is on my top 10 list, but this is the only one that I have a physical copy of, and this is where the series begins. This series as a whole belongs here. I have not finished it. I'm 4 books in, and I'm planning to read book 5 and 6, I think, next month, but we'll see how that shakes up. I have reasons for that I'll talk about in another video in the future, but yeah, it's so good. This, again, you've heard about it before probably, so I'm gonna just briefly cover kind of the synopsis of this story, but this is a lit RPG series. Lit RPG meaning literary role-playing game, which means essentially it's just similar to what you might expect when you're playing a role-playing game. So the characters, for example, level up, and they go into the stats and, like, their intelligence and their armor and their health and things like that. They talk about all of that, and again, the characters level up. They learn new skills, new spells, things like that. So what's actually happening in the story? This guy, Carl, and his pet cat, or really his girlfriend's cat, are in their apartment, and the cat jumps out the window. Carl runs outside of the building to go and rescue the cat, and all of the structures in the building, everything that could hold a person, collapses, like gets flattened. And most of the people on Earth die, obviously, because everybody was inside. Everybody that was inside is now flat. So they're dead. And these stairwells open up to underground, and people that are alive go into the stairwells, and they are kind of put on this intergalactic television show, like a game show. It's kind of battle royale style, in that the further down people get, the more and more people die. And I think ultimately, by the end, only a handful will survive. Maybe even just one person will survive. We'll see. Again, I'm only 4 books into I think there's going to be 7 or 8. I think there's going to be 8 books in the series total, something like that. I don't know. It's not done yet. There's more books to come. Anyway, Really, really good. The thing that you'll hear about it often is that it's very funny, and it is very funny. The characters are great. There's a lot of humor in there, and I imagine wouldn't land for everybody, but if you're not into funny books, I would still steer you in the direction of this book, because through the jokes, through the insane happenings in the book, there's a lot of depth. There's a lot of heart. Even in book one, you get some of that, but further throughout the series, there's just more and more as you uncover more of the backstory of these characters. Not just Carl, but the other cast of characters in this world as well. So highly recommend it, really for anybody. And I know some people are going to say this is just a sci-fi series, but it's absolutely also fantasy. There's both. It's a lot of science fiction, but there are magic spells and things like that. So it's both. It goes on my list, and it's my list. So leave me alone, Sam. Next up, I want to talk about One Punch Man. This is a manga series. If you're not into manga, again, I talk about more novels in a second, but this is a great series. And I do, in this one, specifically mean that book one, or volume one, or whatever, is my favorite of the series so far. And I have read this one like 10 times probably. I mean, it takes you no time to get through a manga, and especially something like One Punch Man. It's just easy reading. You just flip the pages and the story goes into your brain. It's such a simple setup. It's such a simple everything. The premise is just that this character, Saitama, I think is how you pronounce it. Eventually he goes by One Punch Man. He is like a superhero as a hobby. Like, he's bored and he's strong, and he was wronged at some point. He was, and then he was like, I want to go and I want to avenge people for stuff. But he's also just bored all the time, and he's bored because he's like too strong. He's too powerful. His name is One Punch Man because every single time there is an enemy, he just punches it once and it's dead. That's it. That's the whole thing. How could that be interesting? Your fight scenes have to be so boring, right? Well, no, because again, he's just doing this as a hobby at the start, and he's just bored, and so he's off doing other things. He's trying to entertain himself. He's trying to find somebody complicated, they work in a lot of other heroes and a lot of other, there's big enemies, and there's a big hero like academy, or not academy, what do they call it? Whatever. There's some consortium of heroes, and they are in charge of handling all the bad guys and all the villains and all the criminals and all that. But he keeps saving the day anyway. And he eventually does join them and all that, but that's for you to read as you pick up the further volumes of this series. In this first one, he's just a dude doing what a dude does, and punching monsters along the way. It's just fun. It's just easy. And if you are interested in manga at all, I think this is a fantastic one for you to pick up. It's just a good time. It's just fun. That's really all there is to it. Like in Dungeon Crawler Carl, I said there was like a lot of depth beyond the fun. This is mostly just fun. There's not much depth here, but it's still worth your time. Next up, I want to talk about a book called Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. Now, this book surprised me when I made this list. I have not read this in a long time. I think 2 years is when I read this. Like 2 years ago, I read this book, something like that. And I don't know. I keep talking about it. I keep thinking about it. And I keep also not picking up book two, which is insane because I mention it all the time. If you are a viewer of my videos, that's a weird way to say that. If you've watched my videos before, you've heard me probably talk about this book a number of times. And I think over time, like the further I get from me sitting down and reading this book a couple of years ago, the better it is. Like the higher I hold it in my brain. It's really interesting. The world is so creative. By the world, I'm kind of just talking about this one building. So this Senlin Ascends is about this guy. I think his name is Thomas Senlin. Thomas Senlin gets married, and for his honeymoon, he convinces his wife to go with him to the Tower of Babel, which is, it's complicated is what it is. It's complicated. You don't really fully know what it is. I don't fully know what it is, but you know that it is a tower that's a big like tourist destination, and you quickly learn that every floor of this tower, which is massive, is different, and they kind of feel like their own worlds. They're like themed rooms almost, but like heavy on their theme, and the building is the coolest part probably, but Thomas Senlin is a really interesting character. He's kind of a dope. He's kind of like dumb, and you don't really agree with a lot of his decisions, but something about it, he's really interesting. Like I want to spend more time with him. I want to really like figure him out, and he does change a lot over the course of even just this one book. So I'm really curious to see what happens as the series continues. Like in book 2, 3, 4, there might just be 4 books. I think there's 4 books. Maybe there's 5. I'm curious to see how his character continues to develop. I didn't mention, but immediately when he and his wife get to the Tower of Babel, they're separated. Like in the first chapter, I think, maybe the first couple of pages, they get there and she is lost in the crowd. They're not even at the tower yet, but he knows like, okay, we were going to the tower, so I'll just find her at the tower. I'm sure we'll meet there because we're separated in this crowd. She'll think of that. We'll meet at the tower. He gets to the tower. He doesn't see her. He's like, okay, well, maybe I can go inside the tower and I'll meet up with her there. And he goes in. He doesn't find her. And that's it. He keeps searching for her. And that's what the book is. He's just trying to reunite with her, but also ascend the tower. And partially I'm like, is that just because he's a kind of a selfish dude and he just is curious about this tower and wants to do that? And that's the focus of the book, is that Senlin is ascending the tower searching for his new wife. It's great. It's great. The floors of the tower, super cool. And I want to see more of them. Really, really love this book. Really highly recommend it. Again, I don't know why I haven't picked up book 2, but it's coming. It's coming soon. This time I mean it. So those are the 4 books that I would put at the bottom of my pyramid here. And now we can move on to the next tier. And to do that, we're going to start with Once Was Willem. This is a book by M.R. Carey. This book I have a full review of on the channel. This is fantastic. And it's also pretty short. Like you can get through this in a couple sittings, but it's just really good. It's kind of like folklore-ish, fairy tale-ish in style. It feels like it's fairy tale characters that we're reading about, but to my knowledge, this is the only place where these characters live. Like I don't think this is a reimagining or anything like that. It feels like these are ancient characters, which is really cool. The world feels ancient. The world feels lived in. The world feels ripe with mystery, and not even just mystery, but I don't know, like a little bit of whimsy, a little bit of mystery, a little bit of I don't even know the words. It's just the atmosphere is very thick, and you feel it. At the start of this book, you meet a couple who have a son who they name Willem, who is dying, and then he dies. And they go through. That's not a spoiler. It happens right away. I mean, it's essentially the title of the book explains what I'm saying, and I'll get to that in a second. So, Willem dies. They are distraught because their son just died. That's reasonable. I get that. So they really they do everything they can to kind of fix this hole in their heart, and they find this sorcerer who they kind of plead with to bring him back. And he kind of, at first, he's like, oh, I don't know if you really want to do that. But then he's greedy, and he's like, all right, sure, fine, whatever, we'll do it. But I'm going to take a piece of him, and in return, I'll give you your son back. Sure, whatever. And they say, absolutely, go for it, kind of. I mean, there's more to it than that, but whatever. He reanimates him, and he is not the same. So he comes back, and he says, oh, I'm not really Willem anymore, but I once was Willem. And so that's the name that he goes by from that point. From there, a lot of this story is just kind of getting to know Once Was Willem, as well as getting to know this sorcerer, because it kind of splits into, into those 2 storylines. The sorcerer goes over there, does his own thing. Once Was Willem goes over here, does his own thing, and then they'll, it matters. So it matters that they follow the 2. It comes together very nicely. It's great. And Willem is kind of shunned from this town that he was living in. He's kind of, his parents don't want to be with him because he's, again, not the same as he was. Even though he's like really sweet, he just looks different, and he just is different. So it's very Frankenstein's monster in that way, and he just, he goes off and he lives in the woods, and we just follow him around, and he meets other outcasts in the woods, and forges friendships and figures out his own life and his own new body that he's in. And the sorcerer just continues to be horrible. It's one of few characters or like villains kind of in stories where I feel like there were no real redeeming qualities in this guy. He just is bad. He's a bad dude doing bad things, and I kind of love that. So he's just rotten to his core. He's selfish, and he has goals that are only self-serving, and he will do anything he can to achieve those goals for himself and only himself. It's really good. I highly recommend this. If you want to hear my full thoughts, again, I do have a full review of that. Maybe I'll link it below, or you can just, you can find it. Maybe I'll link it. I'll link it for you. Really, really good. Highly, highly, highly recommend. All of these, by the way, are like 5-star reads, if you ask me. Switching tone entirely, we have The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This was the first T.J. Klune that I've ever read, and I've only since read the sequel to this, but I really cannot wait to get back to his work. This follows the story of Linus, who works for some company, and his job is to essentially go to orphanages and assess them and see if they're still doing their job, and if they're not, he'll shut them down, or at least that's the job that he's like assigned to at the beginning of this book. And so he's going over to this little orphanage right here on the edge of this cliff, and he is, that's his job. He's sent there to assess them, to see how they're doing, and see if they are worthy of funding, essentially. And if not, he'll shut them down, and then he'll go on to his next case. That's it. But he gets there, and he meets this awesome cast of characters. It's all these kids, these orphans in this orphanage. They're all so good, adorable, wholesome all the way through. He meets them, and he meets the kind of the guy in charge there, like the adult in charge of all these kids. And it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a gorgeous story. It touches on a lot of your heart, honestly. It tugs at a lot of your heartstrings, I guess, is a better way of saying that. But it's just gorgeous. It really is all I can think of to say it, or to call it. It's entirely worth your time. I think this is on my list here because I like cozy books when I'm in the mood for cozy books, right? And this has absolutely dethroned every other cozy book that I've ever read. Everybody talks about Legends and Lattes, and Legends and Lattes is good, don't get me wrong, but this is way better than that. And it's way like cozier, and the stakes are higher, but it's still not, it's not stressful. You feel for these characters, and you want the best for them, and you kind of love them by the end of it, because they're wonderful, and you're rooting for Linus, this guy in this job, and he's opening up his heart, and he's finding all this stuff that's more important than that job and the life that he left when he came to this to do his job, I guess. But it's so good. It's so good. I keep trying to tell you more about it, but I want you to read it, and I want you to learn about it on your own, because I don't know, it's just so sweet. It's so sweet. That's it. That's where I leave this one. Pick it up. It's great. And switching gears entirely, yet again, we have The Lesser Dead by Christopher Buehlman. This is the first of 2 Christopher Buehlman books that you're going to see on this list today. Christopher Buehlman has shot up in the last year or so in terms of my favorite authors, which it's a video I want to do soon, like my top 5 or my top 10 favorite authors. He's going to be, spoiler alert, way up on that list. He's so good. I don't understand why people are not talking about him. He's so good. I mean, you hear people talk about the Black Tongue Thief, I guess, every now and then, or you did when that book came out initially, at least, but people need to be talking about this guy more. He's terrific. Every sentence that he writes is, I don't know, maybe it's just written specifically for me, but I'm obsessed. This book actually dethroned Dracula from this list. I mean, very different books, but Dracula is about vampires, obviously, and this is Christopher Muehlman's take on vampires. And I looked at my old list and I was like, well, why would I talk about Dracula when The Lesser Dead exists? Why would I care about any other vampire story when The Lesser Dead exists? And that's how I'm feeling right now. Again, this could be recency bias. I don't care. I am living now, and that's what I'm feeling now. This is a vampire story, but it's told from the perspective of a vampire. And this vampire is living in kind of like the subway stations, or subways, I guess, not just the stations, but the tunnels and all that in New York City. And he's not alone. He's living with another, a cast of vampires, including the one who turned him. And it's kind of, for a while, just about that. It's just setting the scene for, I don't know how much, but I feel like a good portion of the book is doing that, is setting the scene and setting up this world for us. And there wasn't a plot almost for like a long time. I remember talking to somebody about it and I was like, I am, I don't know, like 30% of the way through this book and I have no idea where it's going or what the problem is. Like what are they going to have to overcome in this book? No clue. And there was even a part after you're introduced to that problem where like I didn't even know that was the problem yet, which was really cool, because then when it turned to the problem, I was like, whoa, whoa, like that, we've been here for a while, but I just didn't know. And I think that's intentional. Really neat. I won't tell you more about it because I thought that was fun. That was a fun like surprise. It was a fun world to just get ingrained in, even though, again, for a while I didn't know what was going on. It was fun all the way through. And then the ending happened and just my brain exploded everywhere. It was a mess. I still don't know how I feel about it, but I think I absolutely loved it. In the moment when I finished it, I closed the book and I was like, I don't know if people are gonna like that. And I don't know if I like that. But then I talked to a couple of people and I came to learn that I did like that. And I really, it's the sort of ending that makes you want to just turn the book back over and start again. And I didn't do that, but I want to. I will be rereading this book on the sooner side because it recontextualizes the entire book. It's wild, really well done. So boom, second tier complete. And now we get to go on to the third tier, where I think I'm just going to talk about Christopher Muehlman again. This is The Daughter's War. This was on my list last year as well. I love this book. Again, if you have been here before, you've heard me talk about this a million times, so I'll try not to spend too much time on it. But it's the same author, right? And I'm gonna say the same things about this author. Every line felt impactful. Every page had me like, I was fully engrossed. And there were several times, every chapter, that I like was rereading a sentence or two, not because I missed something or because I was confused, but because it was awesome. It was beautiful. It was it just hit me. And again, they just might be written perfectly like for me, but I highly recommend that you see if they're written for you as well, because I just think you're missing out if you don't read his stuff. If I can be honest, it's a somber sapphic war story, essentially. I mean, it's only lightly sapphic, to be fair, but somber for sure. Heavy on the somber. It's deep and dark and brutal. This war story where we follow this main character who we met in the other book, in The Black Tongue Thief, which this is the prequel to The Black Tongue Thief. We met this character there, Galva, and she was cool. I was into that character, but I didn't think that we needed more of her. I didn't think I needed to know her backstory. And then I read this book like right when it came out, just because I picked it up and I was in the mood. I don't know, the cover was cool, so I was like, why not? Even though, again, I didn't really care about the premise. I wanted a book two. Like, I wanted to hear about the events after The Black Tongue Thief, And then he wrote this instead. And I was like, why'd you do that? But I picked it up and I fell in love. This character is so cool. Or not, cool is absolutely the wrong word, but they're so, I don't know what the right word is. They're great. They're great. Their backstory was important, and I'm glad that I read it. I want so much more in this world. I know he's working on book 2, like the follow-up to The Black Tongue Thief, and that's why this book exists, because he was writing it, and he himself felt like he needed to better understand Galva before he could continue on with the story, and that turned into a full-length novel, and I'm so glad that it did. Awesome. Awesome. Well done. Thank you, Christopher Billman. You're 2 in a row right here. And next up, I have a really, again, kind of a series, but I'm going to say specifically book 1, even though book 2 was fantastic, and even though I'm currently reading book 3, and I'm only a few chapters in, but again, it's terrific. This is Murder at Spindle Manor by Morgan Stang. I, again, have preached about this book several times, and if you have not read it yet, I am mad at you. You should know that. You should know that I'm furious. I really, I need you to pick it up. It's so short. It's so accessible. It's so cheap. Honestly, right now there's a deal. I think at least there was a couple days ago where I think the audiobooks were like $3 a piece. The physical books, or not the physical, but the ebooks are constantly on sale for like $1. Like the barrier to entry is so low, people. Read it. It's so good. It asks so little of you, and it's so worth your time. This is a murder mystery fantasy book, which is a crossover of genres that I have learned that I'm really, really into in the past couple of years. And it's mostly because of this book. I mean, The Tainted Cup is terrific, and that's a huge one that people are loving. And this exists, and it's honestly even better. I think, at least, this is better. I loved Tainted Cup, but I would absolutely recommend this before that if you're looking for fantasy murder mystery. It's just fun. It's fun, and the mystery is great and mysterious and hard to figure out. And I found myself just like not even trying, because it's just so interesting to watch this character, Isabeau Agarwal, just figuring it out and go through all the motions. And it pokes fun at itself constantly. Like there's a lot of like meta comments by the cast of characters. Like I said, it's a murder mystery series, so every book is a different murder mystery that you're solving, sometimes more than one. But the premise of book 1 is that Isabeau goes to Spindle Manor, which is like an inn, essentially, and she goes there because there's something bad going on. Somebody has died. But the interesting part is that when she gets there, everybody's like, what do you mean somebody's died? Nobody is dead. And she's like, aha, that's what you think. But there's something called a doppelganger, or doppelworm. Was it doppelworm? That's what it's called. Which is essentially some monster in this world that kills somebody and then takes over their body and reanimates them, or doesn't reanimate them. I think the body is still there and it just kind of imitates them. Either way, it does it in such a way that it's essentially impossible to tell the difference between the doppelworm and the person themselves. So she's pretty much like, oh no, one of you is actually dead. One of you is not you. And the only person that knows it is the person who is the doppelworm. Like the bug or whatever it is knows that it is itself, but it's not going to give that away. And now we have to figure it out, even though you're not going to know. That's it, essentially. Did I do a terrible job explaining that? Absolutely I did. Am I going to try to fix it? No. Just read it and you'll figure it out on your own. How's that? How's that for a sales pitch? There you go, Morgan Stang. You're welcome. I really can't speak highly enough of this series. I am loving book 3. Cannot wait to see how this one ends. And I can't wait to read more of Morgan Stang's work. So yeah, pick up Murder at Spindle Manor. Thanks. And lastly, I want to talk about a book that, again, you've heard a lot about a few times on my own channel, but also everywhere, because this kind of blew up when it came out, and that is Piranesi, a book that I own. Well, I own this copy. This is the one that I read, and then I went to Italy, and for some reason I thought it would be cool to buy a copy of it in Italian, so I own that. I don't read Italian, but that's cool. I have that. And then one of you is so nice and sent me the Folio Society edition of this book, which is stunning and insane. And I have thanked you before, but it's never going to be enough. I really, really so appreciate this gift. This is one of the nicest presents I've ever received. Absolutely stunning copy of my favorite book. So thank you again. I can't tell you much about this book, or I guess I could tell you everything about this book, but I won't. I am refusing to do so, which may seem weird because I'm mentioning it here because I want you to read this book because I want to tell you how much I love it. But I think this is one of those kinds of books, or just one of those kinds of things that is absolutely improved by going in blind, like by not knowing anything. That's how I went into this book. I didn't read the synopsis, I didn't watch any reviews. I just picked it up because I had heard there was a lot of buzz, and that's all I knew, was that there's a lot of buzz. And then I picked it up and I turned to the page 1, and even the chapter titles sold me. The chapter 1 is called "When the Moon Rose in the Third Northern Hall, I Went to the Ninth Vestibule." What? Sure, okay, that's a title of a chapter. Okay, what does that mean? And that's it. It goes on from there. It's so good. It's so weird and unique, honestly. I've absolutely never read anything like this. And Susanna Clarke, her writing is just stunning. And it's not lyrical to the point where it feels like, you have to really stretch your brain, but it's just, the sentences just flow. She's just such an expert in her craft. And I have since read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is like a big tome of a book, and it's also fantastic. But I would recommend this over that, just for your first Susanna Clarke. And that's, I think, only because that's just an intimidating book, and I just, this one is really quick, easy read. Obviously, very different books. I don't really know why I just mentioned Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Just to tell you that her writing holds up book to book. I want her to write so many more books because they're just terrific. The way she does it is essentially unmatched at this point. I'm looking for more. It's just, yeah, unique. Unique is the best way to put it. I can't wait for Susanna Clarke to put out more books. She's done a few short story type things in recent years, but she only has 2 full-length novels out, and it feels unfair to me because they're just so good. Not actually, obviously, write at your own pace. If she never wants to write another book, that's also fine with me. Can't mess with perfection, but yeah, highly recommend. And again, I highly recommend you don't really look into it. I know some people don't feel the way that I do about this. I don't think it's like a Marmite book. Like, I don't think it's a love it or hate it kind of thing, but I've gifted this book to several people, and I know that some of the people that I've given it to have come back to me and been like, that book's super weird, and I don't really get it. Like they get it, but they don't get why I like it. So then that's fair. But if it works for you, I do think it will like really work for you. So yeah, totally worth your time. Again, not a very long one, and my favorite book, I think, of all time, at least right now. I don't know why I've only read it once. I want to do a reread of this next year for sure. Yeah, hope it holds up. Really, really good. That's it. Number 1. Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. That brings us to the end of this list. Thank you so much for tuning in. I had a lot of fun going through this. It's stressful. It's hard to go through all of the books that you've read and loved and narrow it down to just 10. So I think this pyramid type structure does really help me because it takes a lot of the pressure off, because I don't have to worry about this before this before this. It's just easier, I think, for me at least. So hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much. I would love to hear what your top 10 books are. If you feel like sharing down in the comments, I would love it to get some recommendations from you. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. I don't know when my next video will be coming out, but yeah, I'll see you then, hopefully. Thanks. Bye.